So, the other day I was scrolling through Twitter and found some highly amusing tweets from modern birds complaining about how life's not so smooth at their workspaces. Most of the tweets were from modern women talking about how guys tend to ignore them at their workspaces, and in a lot of these tweets, there were replies from men who told them that the only reasons men were avoiding them at work were because they didn't want to give these women a chance to ruin their careers by accusing them of doing something they didn't do. The reality is that men are afraid they're going to get fired. Recent research that was conducted to evaluate the effects and consequences of the Me Too movement found that men are becoming noticeably less willing to approach their female peers in the workplace. According to the report, 20% of men avoid speaking to and interacting with female coworkers privately. A third or more of men stated they would be terrified to be alone with a woman in the study's primary research, which questioned men how they would feel if they were in the office alone with a woman. Why? The main reason is that they just don't want to be in a situation where they're framed for any allegations against them by the women. They don't want to lose their jobs over some women. And it's pretty easy for women to have a man fired from his job these days. It's just one email, call, or conversation away from and with HR. Here's another truth. Men will always be guilty in the eyes of corporate authority. For us men, we are considered guilty until we can demonstrate our innocence. Most men are terrified of this. God forbid if a woman even makes a false accusation that a man harassed her at work. That man will lose his career, his reputation, and all hope of ever finding another job, along with his self-esteem. The significant advantage women have over males at work is this. It should not be surprising that more than 20% of males stated that they would be hesitant to employ a woman for a position requiring an intimate relationship, such as traveling on business. 19% of men said they would be hesitant to hire a woman who was seen as beautiful by society. This was the result of a survey taken from employees working in a variety of businesses. The survey also noted that similar surveys taken in the past did not garner similar results. In the previous surveys, men were more comfortable interacting with women in office settings. Previously, 15% of men compared to more than 20% of men in the later surveys indicated they would be less likely to recruit women for positions that demand close interpersonal interactions. So, according to research, men would rather collaborate and team up with other men and avoid working with women as much as they can. This just helps to highlight how careful men have grown over time, especially in the last 10 years, and how much they prefer to interact and collaborate with other men. They like working with men over women in cubicles, meetings, and boardrooms because they can collaborate on scheduling, discuss ideas, and exchange information. This is due to their fear of losing the career they have worked so hard to build over a long period of time. They may lose everything with just one unfounded accusation. In a society that primarily takes into account and believes what women say, one false charge could end up being the villain. So, don't blame men, I mean. Men can see what has happened over the years, especially with the advent of the Me Too movement. They don't want to bear responsibility for something they did not commit. They don't want to lose their jobs, status, and position in society. Just to be clear, men not saying that they are the only ones that are terrified of women here. Women also seem to be hiring fewer women in general. According to the results of the preceding poll, more than 10% of men and women were projected to be less likely than before to hire attractive women. I feel this is the case because, in general, people tend to believe attractive people more than those who lack beauty. We can credit popular culture for that. The truth is that the typical attractive modern woman of today is out of reach anyway. In every movie you see, regardless of how recent or how old it is, the lead character is either the most attractive woman or the most attractive man, who is incapable of wrongdoing and who works to uphold justice in society. The evil men and villains are always aged, gorgeous, scared people who look awful. It should therefore come as no surprise that neither men nor women would want to consider hiring attractive women, because if a woman made a false complaint against a man, everyone would assume that she was telling the truth. Everyone can see a guy trying to flirt with a beautiful woman. That is how it has always been. guys find it extremely challenging to deal with the harassment issue. Some people may be accused of harassment for merely making jokes with a coworker. Even in this instance, two male coworkers could legitimately be making jokes among themselves without targeting anyone, and they could be condemned for it as harassment. Then, all of a sudden, HR is after them and interrogating them about everything. Men are wary of shaking hands with women out of concern that she could view it as harassment. Avoiding touch altogether would be easier. People's perceptions of acceptable and inappropriate workplace interactions are distorted. The study's thorough debunking of the notion that men lack a clear sense of what constitutes unacceptable behavior, however, is what makes it so intriguing. The first step taken by the researchers was to examine 19 acts and determine whether or not to categorize them as harassment. Sending explicit emails to subordinates is an example of this. Both genders largely agree on what harassment entails, and the majority of men and women, respectively, are aware of what it is. One of the authors of the study told the Harvard Business Review that it is mostly inaccurate to suggest that men don't realize their behavior is inappropriate and that women are making a mountain out of a molehill. If anything, women define harassment more broadly than do males. Most males are able to distinguish between a lovely hug and a wicked one. They are fully aware of what is considered harassment. On the other hand, from the perspective of a woman, anything is harassment. If a line manager asks a subordinate or junior team member to stay late at the office for an hour, she can create a scenario in which she is seen with the manager in the CCTV cameras as he speaks to her and gives her instructions on how to approach a specific project. And she can then essentially fabricate a story about how he was trying to harass her. And you know what? HR would believe the woman. It makes sense that males would want to avoid being alone with women in order to avoid any potential problems that could endanger their entire careers. And because they feel left out, women have started to protest about this. They are no longer expected to work harder on projects and finish them in the wee hours of the morning at the office. Because they know their professions won't be in jeopardy, people would prefer to ask men to stay late and work with them. Simply said, guys don't like rumors and overreactions from women. Women are also excluded from the team's secret sessions when crucial information is discussed. For example, if I had to share anything with a coworker in a small conference room by myself, and I had to go with someone, I'd choose a male since I know that asking a woman into a small area could look strange to others. Not just in America, but also in Europe, England, and other countries, the detrimental repercussions of Me Too are still being felt in the corporate sector. Men will continue to avoid working with women as long as they continue to overreact to the movement and level false charges against them that we constantly see in the media. There's no place for gossip and drama at the office, and unfortunately, that's what most women bring to it. At the end of the day, there's a reason women have to complain about men ignoring and isolating them at work. It's because men are so sick and tired of working with women, as working with them brings a lot of inefficiency to the task. This inefficiency is due to a woman's lack of focus on getting the job done, as she'd rather focus on trying to get ahead of her make workers to prove a point. And in that effort, women have complete leverage and the support of the law to just disgrace a man just with a false accusation. No man would want to work with women in such circumstances. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching The Circle of Kings. As always, we're looking forward to your support. So please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything all kings like yourself need to know.